Hello, life have kicked me up the arse lately, so one foot in front of the other, one day at a time, and thanks to COVID, I have a bit of a time to have a break and to share these pens with you. So the first one is from London Pen Company in Canada. I actually thought they were in London, but they're in Canada. The material is called Primary Manipulation 1, hand poured by Jonathan Brooks of Carolina Pen Company. And so it came in a box like so, bubble wrapped with a note. And this box here I really like because it contains 2 pens, and I really would rather keep my pens together because it helped me remember when I bought which pen, and so it helped me. I do not have an inventory, and I really need to start listing who made which pen and who made which material, because I'm beginning to forget. So I'll do that in a separate video. And I think this channel largely evolved from a book channel, if you've been here from the start, into this fountain pen ones because of my need to log my collection, because I don't do it elsewhere. So this is London Pen Company's standard model in 2 sizes, that is to say in 2 thickness. One is thicker than the other, and this is thicker than the other one you see in the background, and I much prefer this particular color compared to that one there. But I suspect the thicker one have a section that might be a little bit too thick for the way I hold my fountain pens. So either I change that section into something skinnier, or I have to learn how to use this pen holding it differently. You can't really see the difference here because I have a digital zoom out. As you can see, my hand looks a bit funny, so the edges of the frame, the images are a bit distorted. So I was hoping you might be able to see the differences in thickness here, but again, it's really difficult to capture. This one here is the thicker model. I think it's called Christopher, is it 15 or something? I can't remember. The number following the name of the model indicates, the bigger number obviously is the bigger size, or the thicker one of the 2. I have several other PM1 material, but the PM1 material is quite maddening, really. I mean, I enjoy hunting for the perfect PM1 for myself. It's part of the process, it's part of the fun, but it can get a little involved, the process. I have been looking for the perfect PM1 for myself, because different people have different tastes and it's very subjective, since 2019, when I first saw these materials at Mythic Pens. And Mythic started in 2019, so I was lucky enough to be able to browse the collection in the first year of the company, where Brad, the man behind the pens, was still able to communicate, one-to-one, back and forth, and you're able to reserve pen and change your mind and all the rest of it. It's very difficult to do now. Taylor Pen Company is the next one. John, I hope I'm pronouncing his last name correctly, Lesher. He's doing this full time, I believe. He crafted my shark pen, if you remember. And I have been communicating with him for at least, I think, a couple of years, back and forth. I wanted the Trillion, which is this model here. It's like a triangular pen, but with this layering that mimic the vintage Arco material, this vintage material called, I can't remember now, but it's a very unstable material. So to have the same aesthetic, but in acrylic or in Illumilite, or plastic, or whatever this is, resin, it's probably the better deal. I'm too scared to buy those vintage material, but I think it wasn't stable enough, so that attempt failed, the layering of the material. And so I've been keeping an eye on his other pens, and one day I saw this particular pen. One of his clients requested that the honeycombed be poured and combined with this material called Spring Bouquet, I believe. And so it become quite this fascinating material. It's quite attractive. If you see this little sparkles here, it's not very obvious. So in the photo that I saw when I ordered this, the sparkle was very obvious. It's very much like diamond cast. That's really fine, dusty sparkle. And this nib, as soon as I saw this nib, I thought it was quite different. And of course it's Bock instead of JoWo, which I'm used to. JoWo had this really bad period where all of their nibs are cracked, and because I'm in New Zealand and all of these pens are bought from the US, I was having such a hard time trying to replace my nibs because all of the pen makers deal with the JoWo distributor in the US, and I'm not in the US, I'm in New Zealand. So that was very, very stressful. It just put me off JoWo completely. So this is Bock, and Taylor Pen Company have managed to engrave their logo on the nibs, so I'm very happy about that, because the first time I talked to John, I believe, oh yeah, this is Bock number 6 nib, and it's in fine. When the last time I talked to John, I think he was still coordinating to have his logo on the pen, because otherwise a lot of these pens have absolutely no watermarking. You just have to remember who made the material, and sometimes you forget, and sometimes the pen maker themselves forget who made the material, and sometimes we forget who turned the pens. So it came in this lovely packaging here with this candle wax seal and this little instruction card, and so it feels a little bit more established compared to the last time I talked to John, which was a while back, I think a year or two ago. And so I have been eyeing his pens, this Trillion, so I'm very happy to finally get this. I think I paid my deposit like last year sometimes, so a lot of the process of these pens are very slow, and I don't mind it at all. I paid my deposit, put a note, sometimes I forget to put a note who I paid a deposit to, and then you just wait. I believe the Honeycomb construction is created using 3D printer, because I have another pen that has a honeycomb construction like that in black, and it's poured and filled with abalone, or this mother of pearl material. So yeah, so from close up like this, under this, this is not natural light, this is a halogen light. The sparkle is very obvious, but on the outside you have to have a certain direct sun to be able to see the sparkle. So I was hoping that the Trillion, the triangular sort of shape at the edges, at the tips of the pen, prevent it from rolling, but because the middle of the pen is still round, so it's not the whole pen, it's just sort of tapering towards the edges, it's triangular, it kind of still rolled around a little bit, although not as bad as if it were completely round. So I'm very, very delighted that this came during this tough time, because it cheered me up a little bit, and it does give me an excuse to take a break and just to be still and just to enjoy something that is pleasurable to the senses. So just another close-up here to show you the material. The honeycomb here seems to be printed in turquoise, and then the spring bouquet, the mixture of color that he poured into it, I believe it's called spring bouquet. Thus, Honeycomb Spring Bouquet is poured into it. I much prefer a lot of turquoise, a lot of pinks, a lot of purples, maybe not as many orange, but that is the nature of hand mix and hand poured material. Even if you pour it a certain way, you just don't know until you shape it and turn it before you see what you end up with. So thank you for watching, and I will see you again soon.